guys, Justin here with Walts, and I just got back from CES 2026 in the one and only Las Vegas. This year, there were over 148,000 attendees, and although it was quite the hassle getting from booth to booth, we still got to see a bunch of great tech in our industry. Today's video is a brand-to-brand recap of everything that I saw and what I'm excited for going into 2026. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Now, first off is LG. Now, LG had a great booth as always, but in terms of products in the home entertainment industry, I was kind of surprised that they were not showcasing more. If you remember my CES video from last year, you might have remembered when LG announced their Will I Am speaker lineup, and this year they were showcasing that along with some new speakers that they added. They had an AI laundry robot, which was really cool, but again, it's kind of conceptual because this kind of stuff is going to be really expensive for a long time, so I try not to get too excited about it. Now, as far as TVs, it is a little bit of a love/hate announcement. It seems like they're only going to offer the G6 in their larger TVs. However, they did release the wallpaper in a new and improved version. This time they said it's going to have a wireless input box rather than the giant soundbar that people didn't like with the first gen. Now, I personally am a huge fan of wallpaper just because of how clean and slick it looks, but I'll be very curious to see where this lands as far as price point and how easy it is to install. On the show floor, they had it mounted to glass, and I asked if that's how it's going to be mounted with just magnets, but obviously they had some other plan going on, so I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit like a G6, but again, we'll have to wait until we get that on our hands to see. But yeah, other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot more going on, at least from our industry. So that about wraps it up for LG. Next on the list is Samsung. Now, Samsung did it a little different this year because they're actually vacant from the show floor. They weren't at CES. Instead, they relocated to the Wynn and had a huge setup there. When you first walked in, there was an awesome projector mirror room that I can't even describe what was going on in there, but it was super cool to look at. And then once you exited that, that's where you got to their show floor. They had a huge concept, I think it was a 130-inch micro LED TV that had this awesome X stand. I can't even really describe what it looks like. I just have to show you guys. It was beautiful, but again, I try not to get too excited about the stuff that's not necessarily consumer ready. Now, they were showcasing the QS700F, which if you haven't already, go check out our video on that. But essentially something they were highlighting here that I'm not sure if I missed, but I just didn't realize is the reason that the soundbar can be mounted both vertically or horizontally is because the drivers are angled, and they had a nice little diagram kind of showing that, as well as a rotating display. More exciting from the audio though is the new version of Q Symphony, which I'm not exactly sure what version they're calling it, but essentially now it can support up to 5 Q Symphony devices. So with that, they came out with 2 new speakers, the Music Studio 7 and I think it was the Music Studio 3, I could be wrong, but essentially those 2 are going to be pairable with your Q Symphony devices like a soundbar or, if you have a TV that already has it built in, you're going to be able to get those benefits. On the show floor, they even had a setup that had 4 of these speakers connected to the TV, and that was your surround system. Now, they also had an AI sound demo for one of their new AI features. I don't get too excited about AI, but this was pretty cool because you could tell the TV, hey, take out the background noise or mute the voice, and it would tell the audio live time to do one of those 2 things. So kind of cool that you could just if you don't like the words in a song, but you like the beat, you could just have them mute the voice. They also had the new OLED S95, which is going to come on this brand new metal frame, which I think some people won't like, but I think it's really cool. I think the goal here was to make it more of a wallpaper look so that it wasn't like, extended from the wall. I'll definitely be interested to see what that looks like on a stand. They also had a bunch of monitors on display. The first one we looked at was a 1000 hertz monitor. Could do 600, I believe, in 1440. Doubt 1000 hertz in 4K is coming anytime soon, but it was very, very cool. And if you're someone who appreciates that extra smooth feel, especially in the FPS games, I definitely think you'll like the way this feels. They also had the G8 Odyssey OLED monitor, and personally, I was a little bit more drawn to this because, it does have 240 hertz, which is enough for me, but more importantly, OLED gaming monitor. It's something I'm definitely interested in, and I can't wait to get my hands on one and actually try it out. And if you know me, I'm a sucker for RGB backlighting. Now, another cool thing that I wasn't really expecting was a new re-release of the MXT sound towers. These ones got wheels, they're portable, and something specifically that's really cool about these is they actually come with a removable battery, and it looks almost like a Samsung SSD, but essentially you could buy an extra battery and then have multiple batteries to use whether you're going on vacation or if you're going to be out all day and you don't have a power source, just pop it out and pop the new one in. Or I don't think we've seen that from any other brand. So what I liked about the Samsung booth this year is that they didn't have every single product that they released out on the floor. They really focused on displaying the truly new things and not necessarily the refresh. Oh, and if you guys are enjoying the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help me out. All right. Let's move on and talk about Hisense. Now, Hisense was kind of similar to what they did last year in showcasing a lot of their ultra mega big screens. Now, TV that I was particularly interested in that I don't think anybody was expecting was their ultra widescreen model of the UX. What's super cool about this TV is if you're a cinema nerd and you're annoyed with those pesky black lines that you see when watching movies, this eliminates that. It stretches the picture from the whole screen, which to me is really cool and the most important thing. But the other thing they were trying to push was the AI, function, whether that's, talking to the TV about, hey, put this in input 3, or who am I watching on this TV, and give you instant information with the AI assistant, which, I guess is really cool because you don't really have to use a remote. But at the same time, I'm more excited about that cinema look that we just don't get from any other brand. Now, it's still in production, so really, really cool, but not gonna get too excited about it. It also looks like they're coming out with their own Bluetooth speaker line, and they were pretty cool. They all look about the same, but they have this alien, almost spaceship kind of look to them, especially on the woofers. And yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think I like it. It just looks really, really futuristic. They also had a 32-inch stand monitor, which you can bring around the house with you. We've seen this with a couple other brands, so it's cool to see that they've entered this, category, and I'll definitely want to get my hands on it. And lastly, they did have some gaming monitors that I wasn't expecting to see, but they looked really, really clean, had all the bells and whistles. I think one of them was like 540 hertz, and it looked really, really clear. So I'll definitely be excited to see what they do in the gaming space for at least PCs. But yeah, other than that, there was a lot of, micro LED and giant big screens that aren't available yet. Definitely cool to see how big of an impact Hisense has made because, a couple years ago, their booth was nowhere where it is now. Now, right next to theirs was their other competitor, TCL, which I also really liked the TCL booth. And this is the last of the TV brands that I'm going to cover. TCL is one of the biggest manufacturers now in the TV market. They grew a ton in 2025, and it looks like they're going to continue to grow, or at least their massive booth confirms it. Now, they are doing a refresh on the new QLED line, so there'll be some features, including an audio feature that we'll talk about in a little that I think is really cool. They also announced their brand new ultra premium X11, which is the world's first super quantum dot TV, or abbreviated SQD mini LED. Now, they claim that last year with their ultra premium, they could only get 97% of the DCI-P3 color, but this year they can get 100% of BT 2020 color. They're able to achieve this for a couple of reasons, but the main being the brand new ultra color filter. We'll talk more about that when we actually review the TVs, but all you need to know is that this technology is exclusive to TCL at least this year because they're the ones that release it. So other than that, there's not a whole lot more to cover in the TVs. However, some cool audio features. Now, available in at least all the QLED and above TVs is this brand new feature in audio, and they're calling it the no soundbar option. Essentially, you can buy one of their subwoofers as a standalone unit, pair it to your TV, and then your TV will act as the soundbar, and you'll have the subwoofer for the lower frequencies. Now, you might be asking, well, why would they do this when they already make soundbars? Well, there's a couple different reasons, but a lot of these premium TVs have these, what they call woofers on the back, and really, they're mids. They're not real woofers. So they do a good job in the mid, but not as much in the lows. So if you add that subwoofer to free up the low from the TV, now your woofers can actually perform like mids, giving you a more realistic sound than if you were to obviously not have a subwoofer. Now, why do I think this is a really cool feature? Well, I think it allows you to spend a little bit more on the TV, get something a little bit nicer than you would have budgeted for without necessarily having to buy a soundbar right out of the jump. Now, if you buy the subwoofer and you're like, meh, maybe I do want a little bit more audio juice, you can still buy a soundbar from TCL and have it all work together. But again, if you're someone who's hesitant or just doesn't have the funds to do both, I think this is a real game changer. It makes them really competitive. Now, they of course had some other sound bars, and I think some rear satellites is what they look like attached to the ceiling. So cool stuff we'll definitely have to check out later this year, but the no soundbar option was definitely high on my interest list. All right, last but definitely not least is Klipsch. Now, Klipsch / Onkyo had the biggest booth I've ever seen them have in any show. If you weren't aware, Klipsch and Onkyo were purchased by an investment firm last year, so they decided to throw a bunch of money into, investing into this brand, and it's really showing, especially at their booth. In 2026, they're releasing a whopping 70 new products in just the Klipsch line alone, 21 in Onkyo, so definitely excited to see all the stuff come out this year. At the actual booth, they had this super cool party box wall, which was made up of a bunch of Klipsch Vegas speakers. And yeah, I mean, you could just see the RGB lighting, the way they displayed it, it was incredible. What's great about these new large Bluetooth tower speakers is that they can multi-connect together up to 32 devices. This is only going to work through the Vegas, New York, and Miami. So I'll definitely be excited to review those when the time comes. They're also coming out with a Mark II version of the popular Nashville, Austin, and Detroit Bluetooth speakers, which may or may not be available in some other different colors. Now, the only thing I was a little bit bummed of was that the Gen 1 and Gen 2 of those smaller Bluetooth speakers won't be compatible in terms of multi-link. However, with the new ones, there is a multi-link button on there, so it should be easier to connect multiple of the Austin, Detroit, or Nashvilles. And no, they won't connect to your larger party box stuff, so keep that in mind. Now, they also had their new Pro Media 2.1 on display. This is a popular desktop speaker system that comes with a subwoofer. I think it'd been like 10 or 15 years since they've had this product, and it was really popular, so it's cool to see it make a comeback. They look awesome, and I can't wait to get my hands on them. Now, they're also releasing some new premium speakers, which will be above the reference Premier line, and I didn't get a ton of information on them, but I do know that once we get those, we're definitely going to want to unbox them. This is where Klipsch really excels, is in their premium speaker line, especially stereo, and of course, if you want to power it all, the sister brand Onkyo is right there to do so. But honestly, I think I'm more excited about the re-release, the Mark II version of the 5s, 7s, and 9s. Technically, the 5s came out a long time ago, so this would be like their third version, but as far as the speakers themselves, they are totally different. They have an edge-to-edge rolled design, improved connections, woofers, tweeters, and cabinet design. It's all getting a massive upgrade, and it sounds better too. But also, and the thing I'd like to highlight is the link between the two speakers is now going to be an Ethernet versus 4-pin proprietary. I'm excited about this because I think Ethernet's obviously more reliable, but definitely interesting to see that be the link. I'm pretty sure this would allow you to kind of move them farther apart if you need, or just if you have a custom Ethernet cable that you want to use, you can use it. They also had the Onkyo Creator Series, which I thought looked really clean, kind of a competitor to the Pro Media in a sense, but we'll definitely have to look at those. Oh, and they also had a car with the Klipsch reference Premier system in it. I think it was like an Infinity something. So very cool stuff going on at Klipsch. Now, of course, it's CES, and there's a ton of really cool technology there, but I really only focus on the brands that we carry or stuff that's new in our industry, because I could spend a whole week looking at a bunch of cool stuff there. I think there's a lot of cool stuff coming from these manufacturers this year, at least more than last year. I'm definitely more hyped going into 2026. It's crazy to just watch these brands compete for market share, innovate their product, make it more affordable, make it more, lasting. But I'm also curious to what you guys think. What are you most excited for going into 2026? And if you guys want to stay updated on all these new products, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those videos when they come out. If you're shopping around for new home entertainment products, make sure you visit walts.com. We are an in-store and online retailer and have been in the industry since 1957. So we got a lot and know a lot and would love to help you find the best system for you. Now, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of the video. If this is a product that you're interested, make sure to email me at youtube@walts so I can get you a special YouTube discount. If you haven't already, subscribe for more videos like these, and we'll see you in the next one.